hearing that music, you know by now that this is Brown Sugar Confessions coming to you live every place that you are getting your listening and listening is audio. Yeah. Listening and viewing pleasure, by the way. We are Brown Sugar Confessions. How is everybody tonight? This show is going to be so good. And by the way, we want people to go to YouTube right now. If you're not there, go to YouTube. It's Brown Sugar Confessions, just like the name of the show. Go on YouTube because this show is for anyone around consent. And when I talk about anyone, it's even for minors. You can get your child in this room if you want to start a conversation around what is consent and how it shows up in our language, how we use it with our bodies. So we're going to go deep into understanding consent and into some fun, hot topics. So I'm excited for tonight's show. We want everyone to go ahead to YouTube. Make sure that you go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow us, please. You know, we are a radio show. We're not a YouTube show. We are a radio show. But we made the conscious decision to start working that YouTube angle as far as the show. So we need your help. Like we want to get to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure that you guys like it, follow, help us get to 1,000. We're going to do some amazing things as a community when we do that. So help us with that as we keep this show rolling. We want to thank all of I think we're at 50,000 listeners on the radio right now. We want to thank you guys for following us for a few years now, a couple of years, being so loyal, helping us grow this platform as we talk about relationships and sexuality and basically anything we want to talk about because, hey, why not? And before we get into all this goodness, y'all go to YouTube because we are looking like fierce tonight. We are so stunning. So let's bring up the beautiful KD. How are you, sweetheart? We missed you last week. You weren't on for long.
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. Things are great. Getting into the new season with all the pumpkins and pumpkin lattes that I'm not drinking. So doing quite well. Just getting ready to amp up into this Halloween / Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and next thing you know, it's snow on the ground season.
Oh, did you say snow on the ground season? Could you retract that statement? Could you retract the snow on the ground statement, please? We don't want to think about that yet. Look at Miss T's face. No, we're not ready. We're just ready for pumpkins.
Miss T, do y'all even get snow? Do y'all even get snow where you're at?
Yes. And I don't want none of it.
We're not ready for that
yet. What you just said, take that whole sentence back. Do you know what snow does to us here? I don't want it. I don't want it at all.
No, we do not want any snow. We're just going to say it's pumpkin season. It's sweater season. It's gray sweatpants season. That's what it is. Treese, what's up with you in New York?
I'm good. It's butt rubbing and scary movie time.
It's butt rubbing. Booty rubbing. Gotta rub on that booty while you watching Netflix.
Yup.
It is. It's snuggle season.
It is. My house smells like apple cinnamon cookies right now.
Right. It is definitely the season.
I'm good. Just living. You know how it is. Pre-packing for hot girl stuff.
What do you
in November?
What kind of hot girl stuff do we have planned for November? Let's talk about it for a second.
Look, we going on a cruise.
Oh,
what kind of cruise are we going on, Treese?
A nasty cruise.
She's so bad. So if you don't know, you know by now that, I do a lot of traveling and sometimes I get the opportunity to take some of these beautiful co-hosts with me. And in November, Treese is going with me as I go on the Bliss Cruise. I am the Bliss Cruise resident sexologist. So I will be there teaching and doing seminars. And we're going to talk about that and even have a whole show dedicated to the Bliss Cruise. And I'm going to probably get a couple of the owners to come on and talk to us about what it is, how it was started, and also about what to expect on the cruise. So we're going to talk about that. That's not until November, so we got a few weeks left, but we're about to do some hot girl stuff. All I know is that I want Treese to make all my outfits. That's really all I
I've
care
already
about.
started. I've already
There
started.
you go.
Oh,
I need to look fabulous. I need to look fabulous. I'm going to be next to you. I need to amp up my game a little bit.
Oh, you don't got to do it hard. You don't even have to try hard.
Oh, you making me blush. Look at me. Look, y'all think about sweater season. I was thinking I'm gonna get some Botox for the cruise, but can we talk about Botox and being a woman of color? But maybe that's another show.
that's
Move on, because
definitely
I'm having
another
a
show.
moment. I'm
That's
having a
definitely
moment. Let me
another
just
show.
move on. Okay, let me shut up. Miss T, how are you?
I'm doing well. I am making my one contribution to pumpkin spice season. It's pumpkin spice beer.
Already. Okay.
Yes. When the pumpkin spice beer comes up, that means Oktoberfest is right behind it. So I am excited. Everything outside of that, typical Atlanta stuff. Traffic was terrible. There was a monsoon today that almost wiped out Midtown, but it's okay. But guess what else is happening that we need to talk about real quick?
What?
Cuffing season.
Ooh,
It's
what is
back.
cuffing season? It's back.
Cuffing
What is it?
season is back. And if you guys have not heard about us talk about cuffing season, let's talk about it real quick. So,
Okay.
at this point, all four of us have understood what cuffing season is. But for the rest of y'all peons out in Radio Land who don't know what cuffing season is, this is what cuffing season is. So, cuffing season is essentially the time when the weather starts getting cooler. You start kind of feeling lonely because the holidays are coming up. You don't want to show up to any family functions, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas by yourself. So what do? You start answering them hey big head texts. Venus
Did
retrograde
you
is over.
say, hey, big head?
You know what those texts are when you get it at anywhere between like 10 and 2 a.m. You up scrolling
Hey,
and you
big
see that
head.
one text from that one individual that you swore off like 5 times already this year, talking about, hey, big head, you up? And you're like, I ain't messing with him. And then you be
Yeah,
like,
you
I'm
are.
up. What you doing? What you talking about?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, bam, you're in a situationship. Cuffing season has begun. So essentially, we are in the pregame of cuffing season, September to October. Figure out your players, make your draft collection team, whatever, and then you start weeding them out. You start taking them on events, or you get taken on events. Who is the person that you want to wind up with when it starts getting colder? And then when it starts getting colder, now you got to snuggle up. What they look like in them gray sweatpants if it's a dude. What they look like in a hoodie if it's a girl. You know, now you got to start interlocking. Y'all doing matching costumes, or y'all going to be all sexy with it. Now, once you get together, now it's October, November. Now this person's got to start seeing your family. And now you got to start making the decision. Am I going to be with this person for the remainder of the year? So December or November, December. Because now, if I'm going to stick with them exclusively, I got to get them a gift. Christmas is coming. So now you got to like kind of figure out, is this the person you're going to stick with? If you stick with them until Christmas and New Year's, guess what? Now that Christmas and New Year's, after New Year's, is you either breaking up or you're in it until Valentine's Day. And if you make it a Valentine's Day, guess what? You guys are the real deal until summer, that is.
No, until spring.
got
Until
this.
spring. The first thaw.
You're right. You're right.
The first thaw.
The first thaw, you're right. Because everybody's trying to get their bodies back. They getting ready.
What
They're
I
like,
love
you know
about
what?
you and cuffing season, Miss T, is you got it down by the month. So I'm going to ask, because I don't have, me and Katie, we're like married. Or can married people have cuffing season?
Yeah.
That's a negative.
I mean, technically, yeah.
I know
And
a
it
couple of
depends
married
on
people
it
that are
depends
doing
on the
cuffing season.
dynamics. Depends on the dynamics of the relationship, I suppose.
I
What
guess
kind of relationship you got? If it's open
Okay.
season, then you got a roster that you need to start filling in.
Okay. All right. I guess married people can have some cuffing season too. But like, I like how you guys have this plan by the month. So I want to ask you, Tracy and Miss T, do you have your playoff list ready for cuffing season?
I do not, because I'm a spectator. I love watching other people's cuffing seasons. Sometimes I be taking bets. Be like, I don't think they're gonna make it to
Okay.
November.
That's what I'm talking about. Sideline bets, caramel
Yes.
popcorn. I'm
Yes.
watching it go down. And then I'm watching them argue on Valentine's Day. And then I'm watching who's breaking up and who's sticking it out because they
Or
mad
who's
that
going to
other person.
sabotage their relationship so that the other
That's
person, so they don't have to be the one to break up.
that's
Oh
the
my
one.
goodness.
Yes.
What, you're taking bets on who's gonna last?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
How do you
All
think
right,
I
we
bought
have
all
a
them hot girl shorts last
oh
summer?
my God.
The
All
bets
right,
I
we need to
won.
know something. If y'all out there listening right now, send us an email and let us know, are you in cuffing season? If you're married and like you have that kind of situationship, are you in cuffing season? And what's it called if you're married and you have a cuffing season? Poly cuffing? Cuffing poly? I
Multiple
don't
links.
know.
Most multiple.
Oh,
I
multiple
like that.
links.
Clink, clink,
I
clink.
like
I
that.
like that.
Clink.
Multiple links. That we the hashtag.
Multiple links.
Multiple links.
Yes,
Multiple
but here's
links.
something I did find that was pretty interesting. I don't think a lot of people
What's that?
actually realize about cuffing season. I'll get into it real quick, and then we can get into the big topic. So, why do you think cuffing season exists?
Out of loneliness? Boredom?
That's part of it. What else? Anybody else got some suggestions?
To get warm.
That's the big one. Those are the big two: to get
Yeah.
warm and to not to be lonely. So think about it like this: pre-electricity, whatever year that was, in like the 1700s ish, maybe. One of the main reasons of cuffing season, because think about it, fall, winter, it starts getting colder and people start huddling in together for warmth. It helps to regulate our thermal body temperatures. And then on top of that, we have pheromones that are happening. So we're used to being around somebody and embracing that closeness, whether it's mother and child, family members, lovers, whatever. So in a sense, we have evolutionized ourselves to want to be closer to other people when it gets cold, not outside of just temperature regulation and also loneliness. So that's part of the reason why cuffing season becomes a thing, why people tend to gravitate towards other people and want to be in, whether it's a relationship or big groups or whatever, is that's part of those reasons. And now you
Wow.
know. I feel
And
like I need a
now
rainbow over my head.
you know what? You are always a plethora of information and
Oh yeah.
knowledge. I had no idea that's why it started, but it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
So right now, send us an email, by the way, if you're in cuffing season and do you have a playoff list? How many are on your list? Are you female? Are you male? What's your gender? We want to know all this stuff.
Are
And
you
we're going to
both?
read
Are
some
you
of
playing
this.
both teams?
Are you, oh yeah, are you on both teams? Oh, okay. Are you on both teams? Like, do you have a major? Why Tree's looking like that? She's like, I got both lists.
The gate swings hard both ways.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my goodness. So write us at BrownSugarConfessions@gmail.com as we talk about cuffing season. Are you in it? As we talk about consent tonight, because consent is very important, I would think, in cuffing season, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right? You've got that
Can we give a
partner.
trigger warning real quick before we do our main topic?
You may throw it out there, Miss T. Absolutely.
All right, really quick, everybody, pay attention. This is going to be a heavy topic, so remember, listen at your own discretion. If you have little people in the room, just remember to have a conversation with them later. This is a very big conversation. It may bring up some feelings. It may bring up some memories. So remember, if you have any water nearby, any kind of favorite libation, just remember, take sips, don't gulp, breathe. Listener discretion is advised. Keep yourself safe. Grab your favorite crystals. Grab your whoopee, your pillows, your favorite snack, what have you. All right, let's get started.
Okay. The reason why I thought about doing a show on consent, our college age kids are going back to college or maybe entering college their first year. Our younger children are going into junior high, into high school, and consent is something that isn't really talked a lot about. even in sex education, it's not so much about consent and what it is and what it isn't. And I belong to an association, the World Association for Sexual Health, and they do every year a really big sexual health day. And I'm sorry, month. And this month it's been all around consent. So I want to do a show dedicated to consent, understanding what it is, what it's not. We're going to play some games, share some stories. And as Miss T said, if this brings up something for you, please in the chats, talk to us. We will be there to talk to you. If you need to talk to someone professional, there is a team that we can send you to if you need to talk to someone. But know that you are not alone, because some of this might be triggering for you as we go into what is consent. So that's the first question. What is consent? What do you guys think it is? I'm going to ask the room here. Therese, what's consent to you?
Consent is the easiest term, a layman's way to think about it, is how they teach you in school. Yes means yes and no means no, but it's not as simple as that. So consent to me is negotiating my way through any situation in life, whether it's ordering a cheeseburger or it's getting clothes or it's making an activity with my friends. Consent is where my boundaries start and stop.
Really good. Anybody else want to chime into what consent means to you? Then I'll read the official definition from the World Health Association as to what consent really is.
I think consent is kind of, I'm not going to say it's kind of, I think consent is how you display and act upon your boundaries. And that isn't just in a, how you say, erotic relationship. That's also how you set your boundaries with your family, with your friends, your job, your coworkers, the homeless person at the gas station, wherever or whatever. It's how you establish yourself. And also that people will judge you by the boundaries of consent that you have.
Absolutely. Katie, you want to chime in as to what it means to you?
I guess just permission that is given for whatever there is that's related to you and your boundaries. So if you want to give people access to even just touch you or I don't know, anything that would cross a potential boundary, basically.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I think you all hit it right on the head. And, one thing about our young children, those that entering junior high and high school, they don't understand boundaries yet. They don't understand what that even looks like. What does that mean when you say that to me? What's a boundary? Like someone hits me, I'm going to hit them back. But what does that really mean as far as, having a boundary? Because they're still maturing. They haven't figured out. They don't have the experience to really draw from to understand this. So this is really a good conversation to bring them into the room, to even start a conversation after we get off air to further communication around what consent is. So consent is, I'm reading it directly from the website. Consent is permission. No one can touch another person's body without permission. All partners must give consent for any sexual activity. Consent is not just about sex. I want you to hear that. It's not just about sex. Consent is required before any sexual activity and in many non-sexual activity situations. You need consent for things like kissing, for hugging, something as sharing food. That begins to teach about consent, right? You don't think about that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, about sharing food, because it's kind of silly, but it makes sense when you're learning consent. Touching anyone's body part, exposing your genitals, taking or sharing sexual photos or videos of someone. And we know that within our junior high and high school children right now, that sharing and taking videos and pictures is a thing that is going around within our various schools. And I've heard as young as seventh graders are doing this and sharing pictures. So I think that this conversation can really lend itself to you having a deeper conversation around all of these things. So I want to talk about something as silly as sharing food. And one of my granddaughters, I have 3 granddaughters, she will absolutely have a nervous breakdown if you take any of her food. I'm talking about full blown crying snot. Like she don't like to share for some reason. And so we got in the habit of just taking from her plate. And she would just have a total conniption over someone taking food. And I sat back one day and I realized, why are you so mad? Why don't you share? You're not like, you act like you've never had food before. And she's like, well, you don't ask, you just take it. And you don't ask me. You don't ask for permission. It's rude. And I'm like, you're right. As something as simple as taking food, and I didn't ask, to her, it wasn't giving permission. Now, I know that might sound trivial, but you're starting to teach them around what consent is and respecting their boundaries. Because if you don't respect their boundaries, right, and you just take from them, how are they as young children, as young adults, going to be able to push back when someone crosses their boundaries? So I think it goes something as simple as respecting someone's boundaries, even as they're young, digging into their fries, getting their food. Does that sound silly, or do you guys follow that?
No, it
Is that
makes
just me
perfect sense
feeling?
because it also goes with a lot of things. And I think also, I don't, like I said, y'all know me. I don't have kids, but I am very observant of people who do have them. How some parents will say, nobody should be able to touch you without your consent. However, when it comes to them, they feel like they or them or their family members are the exclusion from that. So, say, for example, if you have a family member who wants to hug your child and your child does not want to be touched, but you make them
Mm-hmm.
hug them anyway, you guys might see that as a sign of respect. But for that child, that's also a, what do you say, not an exclusion of boundaries, but a, what's the word? Override of boundaries.
Mm-hmm. We almost feel obligated to tell our young ones to go give Uncle Jack a hug. Go give Mary a kiss. We feel like, oh, say bye bye to Aunt Karen, give her a hug. We tell them to do that. And some children are not comfortable, but we push them to do it because we think it's about family and acceptance and loving on our family members, and they're still not at that place. So are we infringing on what boundaries they're trying to put in place? Do they feel safe with that? And now there's a big pushback that started many years ago. I wouldn't say now, but it's going on for several years that I can recall, where the community is saying, you know what? I'm no longer telling my loved one to give Aunt Karen a hug or Uncle Buck a hug. If she feels it, she'll do it. If she wants to say goodbye, just shake the hand, let her just do it. Don't force them to give touch to someone when they are not ready for it. You don't.
I have No, I have always taught my children, you don't have to hug, kiss, talk to anyone you don't want to. And
Mm,
because I have a gangster Gemini upstairs, people learned to not hug her or approach her
mm-hmm,
unless she asks you to, because Gabby will power punch you right wherever her eyesight was when she was little. And if you was a man, it was right
mm-hmm.
in these things. So people
Right.
learned to stay away. It worked. I think I did that because I was encroached upon as a child.
Mm, mm-hmm,
My
mm-hmm.
parents made me hug people that I was not comfortable hugging, and they made me
Right.
sit on their laps and talk to,
Mm.
and I despised it. Despised
Mm,
it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That speaks to a lot, Teresa. That's what we're talking about. Is it starts with us as parents and grandparents to help this child learn how to respect their boundaries as they're coming up. and let them figure it out. Help them figure it out, and don't push them to do something that they're not ready to do. And it might sound trivial, but it's, again, you have to take this in baby steps. You're helping them develop and understand. Come back in 3, 2, and 1, because we're Brown Sugar, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. Welcome back, guys, to the show, Brown Sugar Confessions. As we talk about consent, I am Doc Val. There's Treese, Miss T, and KD, your co-host tonight. And listen, if you haven't done so by now, go to YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, and share our content. We hope that you're enjoying this show. Leave us comments that you are, and also leave us a comment about what you want us to talk about. We are always open to having your suggestions. And plus, if you want to come on the show and be a guest host, drop us a line at BrownSugarConfessions@gmail.com. Drop us a line that you have an interest to be on the show. Give us a comment, because we love your feedback, and we do this because we think it's important and we love you. And I told you guys in the beginning of the show that we are a radio show. We're not a YouTube show, but we're starting now to realize that YouTube, and all these podcasts, it's probably the way to go. So help us grow a little bit. Tell your friends to follow, like, and on YouTube. We want to get our subscribers over 1,000. We don't even really push it, but if you could help us out, we would be ever so thankful, because when we do, we got some big things that we're going to give away. And I'm talking big things that might need a passport. So you might want to help us get to that 1,000, because that we're getting away a big trip. So
You won't be there.
make sure you want to be there, because
Put that application in now. Right now, because they be backed up and they be acting like they ain't trying to do nothing with them passwords. Put that soon as the show ends, you fill out that thing, you go to Walgreens or wherever, get your picture taken, put all that junk in the mail so that you have it by the end of the year or the new year.
It is like a whole, I can't even describe the energy.
You gonna see
and the shenanigans.
You gonna see some things
that you gonna get into. But it's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so much fun.
It is.
There's going to be good food.
It's going to be great food, good food. If you like to drink, all you can drink. But I'm also going to tell you, you know what? It's going to be hot. And we're going to offer a free trip. But we need to get to that 1,000. So tell your friends. You might be or you might not be, your choice.
It's an 80% chance you're going to be naked.
Yeah. Listen to that. This
is that 80%. Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. 80%. We're not gonna lie. 80%. But I'm gonna as soon as we get to that 1,000, so help us, we're gonna drop that info out there to you. So do that. You need someone to talk to around your relationships and your intimacy, then reach out to me at Valerie@swancenter.com. It's all private and confidential. All right. Well, so what do you got going on down there? You got something you're going to talk to us about. We ready for this hot topic? What's up?
So am I doing the hot topic, or are we continuing on talking?
No, I want to hear this hot topic before we get into this.
All right.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Okay.
Wait. Before we do that, trigger warning, grab your drinks.
Yeah, Lord, here she go. Is it that bad? I don't know what it is. Lord Jesus.
When she gets to a certain sentence, I'm going to watch all y'all's eyes, and I'm watching the comments on YouTube right now. All right, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Remember, I love y'all. Okay? This ain't me.
Okay.
Am I the A for leaving my boyfriend after this? I, 24, have a daughter. She's now 9, very young. She had her at very young. She had her at 15. Because of an SA. I got kicked out of the house and the boy had left me. She was the only thing keeping me going. About 5 years ago, I met my boyfriend, 27. I can tell he never really liked the idea of me having a child that wasn't his, but he never said anything about it, so neither did I. My daughter is like me and is going through puberty at a young age. She has somewhat of a chest and wears bras, but not to sleep in because it's bad for you. Keep that in mind. Yesterday morning, my daughter walked through the living room where my boyfriend and I were watching some TV. My boyfriend said, daughter's name, go put on a bra. That's inappropriate for me to see to see that. You're going to get SA'd one day if you keep walking around like that, just like your mom. I looked up at him in shock and didn't know what to say or do. So I just got up, took my daughter, got in the car, and started driving. I didn't know where I was going or anything. I just needed a break. I ended up going to a hotel in town. Then I got a call from his sister saying that I was the A for not talking about it with him and just leaving. I told her she didn't go through my trauma. She had no idea what it's like. Neither does he. So therefore, you can't have any say in this matter. I hung up the phone, and now his entire family is saying I'm the A.
That
Oh,
look, I
Wow.
saw your faces as soon as she said that one sentence. I saw your faces. Y'all went,
Wow. KD,
yes,
go ahead, girl. Let's go ahead, KD.
get
You
it.
go first.
first off, no, of course she's not. I mean, I don't even feel like she should have to ask that question. So I could tell you this much. If I was in this person's position, she's a saint, because just walking out and driving is a very mature way to handle that. That was super mature. Exactly. Super mature, because my immediate thought at that moment was whatever would have been closest to me would have been thrown. I know me.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
would have been very difficult for me to do the more mature thing, which would have been to take a couple of breaths, go outside, and leave. That was like, bravo, because you probably kept things from escalating, and that could have very easily escalated, and I probably would have been the type that would have escalated that. But the sister, so everyone could catch hands as far as I'm concerned, because dude could catch hands. He should have caught hands. He's lucky he did not catch hands that day, because, or a plate or a shoe or a flip flop or whatever the closest thing was to her to grab, because how dare you? How dare you say something like that? First, the first part, because it's like, it got bad, it got worse, and then it got worser. Like the first part, the fact that he would even have, like, how? What are you? Are you a SAer in that regards, that you're looking at this person's kid that way? Why is that even a thought on your mind in the first place? So for you to even say that to me, that's giving me creep vibes. Two, even if that's something that you feel, you do not say that to her, you can have the discussion with mom about that, because this is definitely a very sensitive subject, and the types of things you could do to kids' brains when you say that is just not right. Third, to then say the SA part, I'm just ready to fight over that one, because it's
And
like,
you
it's
know he
bad
didn't
enough that,
say SA.
oh, I know, I know he ain't say that, but we're going to keep it clean for radio and the internet.
We ain't gonna
But
let the feds come after us.
listen, if she would have threw something at him, I wouldn't have called her the a-hole for that either. But the sister didn't hop in and call her that for not talking to him about it, when she did the very saint-like thing of just walking away and not arguing, not fighting or anything like that. I would never talk to sis again either. All of them would either catch hands physically or verbally or mentally, just by cutting you off and keeping you out of my life. Those people don't deserve to be around her daughter, and any of their energy.
Let's add
Mm-hmm.
spiritually to that too.
Yes, and spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Miss T, what do you think about
I
that?
already told you. I almost flipped my table over reading that earlier today, because I was like, ain't no way. But yeah, the smartest thing she could have did was grab her daughter and leave, and I'm glad she did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of with Contrabay. Contrabay left the comment. She said, "Meanwhile, I'm mad she didn't refer to him as her ex-boyfriend."
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah,
And my thing is,
absolutely.
like, the only part I would say, if she was the a-hole, it would have been that she stayed with him knowing that he more than likely didn't like her daughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
telltale sign right there. Any person, doesn't matter what their age is, if they're dating you, especially if you have children or family, once you are part of their life, you're part of their family as well. And if you know that your boyfriend, significant other, whoever, doesn't like your child, why are you with them?
Absolutely.
And
That's that.
we can go down a whole rabbit hole for that, but today is not the show for it. But
Today is not the show for, but
yeah,
you are
today is not
right.
the
If
show
someone does
for it.
not like your child, they do not need to be in your life.
Exactly.
Period. There's no opportunity for you to have a relationship, a healthy one, if they do not like your children. You
Right.
might as well just say leave. I think her emotional intelligence to leave is outstanding, because as many people might have done, myself, in yesteryear, I might have done something stupid and gotten myself in trouble.
Might have.
And so, yeah, I might have.
Might have.
Back in yesteryear, when I was still like trying to, before I had some comments,
hot thing,
when
a hot
well,
young
before
thing. I read it in a hot thing.
Yes, before I was, I found my own emotional intelligence and my own voice that had to deal with people. I might have done something that might not have been productive and gotten myself into trouble. So I absolutely, clap for her for having emotional intelligence to get away, take a breath from the situation and re-examine like what happened. And also that the family members chose to attack her, clear boundary broken. That was totally not right. And that person, that individual, that husband or boyfriend, he needs to have a conversation with his family. I was wrong for bringing you in. You guys should apologize to her. And I was wrong. He was wrong for bringing them in. That should have stayed between them. He did not have to go outside. What he said. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. But he didn't have to go to the sister and whomever else he went to share it. I'm not a big believer in telling everyone in the family my business. That's just me personally. I'm just not a believer in that. Some people just, if something goes, I'm going to tell my mama, I'm going to tell my dad, I'm going to tell my auntie, and everyone's all involved in your growing up relationships. I mean, before you know it, you got so much chaos because everyone's in your ear and his ear, her ear, and it's too much. I sometimes think less is more, but I've been challenged on that a lot. So that's another story we'll go into.
There is a thing about older people and men sexualizing children very early that is very disturbing. And I don't think that anybody actually recognizes it, because a lot of the guys are learning from their elders, and a lot of the elders are learning from whoever, whatever, whenever. Like, this might be personal. This is my confession. I remember when I was a child, how whenever we had male guests, my mom would always tell me to lock my door at night.
Wow.
So it's like, if I can't feel safe in my house, where can I feel safe at?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And part of me is like, why can't I just be me? You know what I mean? So part of me thinks that a lot of this sexualization, one, it happens early because people, when they see a child develop, especially when it comes from a female child, I'm going to say a cis hetero female child, is that we tend to develop early, depending on whatever the case. And as soon as somebody sees, oh my God, she's here, we got to cover that up. She's a baby. She can't be seen like an adult. Why are you thinking of an 11 or 12-year-old as an adult? You know what I mean? Because back in the day, they were the adults. Think about like how a lot of our grandmothers, great grandmothers, their first child was somewhere between 11 and 15.
Right. Very
and that
true.
says a lot about how a lot of these curses carry over as we get older and as we go further in time.
And I also think when we're talking about consent, it does not need to just be about kids. It needs to be about adults as well.
Very much
adults very much need to relearn and rethink. I mean, we did not grow up with phones, right? But we learned how to reprogram our brain to learn how to use a phone, how to use a computer. So that therefore our vocabulary has to change. It cannot just be, yes, the children need to learn this, but it is also the adult that needs to learn and apply to be able to protect the kid, or else you get more of this, or else you get more of that. Like, oh, well, you don't want, but you did not have my permission to discuss what happened to me in front of my child. Maybe that's not something she was ready to even know yet
Right.
about me. And now she has questions about her lineage. And now I have to explain that because of you. Consent is more than just sexual. Consent is in absolutely everything we do, from, like I said earlier, planning outings with your friends to.
So there's a really cute acronym that the World Health Association, Sexology Association came up with. And it's called FRIES. And it's really simple and it's easy to remember. So FRIES, right? So F means freely and willing. We just talked about that. It isn't consent if there is pressure, manipulation, influence of drug or alcohol. Okay? Reversible. That's the R in consent. You can change your mind about sex and remove your consent at any point in time. We're going to talk about that as well, what that looks like. Even if this is a partner you've been with for decades, if you change your mind in the act, you change your mind. Informed. You can only consent to something if you have the full story. And we're going to get into what do you mean by the full story? Enthusiastic. Sex is only about doing things that you want to do, not doing things you have to do. All right. And specific. So remember FRIES. You must be specific about what you're asking for.
But this is the important thing about consent. Consent is not just about sex. Consent is about the verbiage you use, the actions you take. It is absolutely everything. And once consent is given, do not mistake it. It can be withdrawn immediately. Immediately.
At
And
any point in time.
yes, and you need to understand the difference between consent given and what, if you're trying to do something and they say no, or if you look at them and they feel uncomfortable, that means no. That means no.
Absolutely.
Do not coerce them, because coercion is a thing. It is a very violent thing. Don't do that.
Absolutely. Don't do it at all. And it's very important also is that when you're talking about consent, also understanding that sometimes consent can be in the form of being manipulated and how that's going to show up. I think Trish just spoke on it very briefly. And so I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. Let's play a little game here for a second.
Hold on, Doc Vel. We got like 1 minute remaining.
Oh, we got a minute? Oh no, I don't want to end the show because this is a good one.
Part two?
You know,
Part two.
I think we need to have a part two of consent. So I think next week we're going to finish this topic up, because consent is a really big deal. And there is so much that we did not get into tonight around consent. It was just the very bones of it. And so next week, guys, we're going to finish this conversation around consent. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Bring in your loved one. Bring in your partner. Bring in your children, your grandchildren. It's never too early to start having a dialogue. And I'm actually going to walk you through some of my teachings that I use with some of my clients around consent, that you can start engaging in conversation with them as young as 6 and 7 years old, especially if they're high schoolers, understanding how they can be manipulated, how they can be coerced into it, because that is not consent, by the way. And because when they're young and figuring it out, and even when they're older, those things can happen, regardless of their sexual orientation and regardless of their gender. It's very important that we also establish that as well. So I'm going to really break this down next week. I'm going to talk about some gender specific ways of coercion and manipulation. I'm going to talk about how to enter into dialogue with young ones around this and how to help them set up healthy boundaries for themselves that they can take into their latter years. And also talk about ways that you can ask for consent, because a lot of us don't even know how to ask for consent and what that looks like. Doesn't it get boring when you ask for consent? You kind of like lose the moment. Not really, no.
May I
It's all,
please have some more?
and here is where I would like to have more, if I may, and not feeling guilty around saying no.
That's a big
You
one.
must be comfortable saying no. I cannot tell you how many times, because I do this professionally, I work and I talk in this field. I get approached as a professional off camera, minding my little happy business. And can I kiss you? Or they'll reach out and touch me. I'm like, don't touch me. No, you
Can
may
you
not.
step on my
I'm,
neck, Doc Val?
yes, I will. Would you like a
Can
red
you
shoe? Or,
do
no, I'm
can you
joking.
do all the other things, Doc Val? Sorry, I'm having
Why do you make
flashbacks.
me go there, Miss T?
Sorry, I'm having flashbacks. My bad. My bad.
Yes,
Continue.
you are. I'm teasing. We're teasing. We're teasing, but not. But you get my point, right? Even myself at 61, I'm still dealing with consent. You'll never get past consent and not feeling guilty around saying no. So we're going to get into all of that stuff next week. So make sure you come back again as we continue our conversation on consent. If you're on YouTube, hang out a little bit. We're going to close you down as well and talk to you a little bit more. But you know what we say on Brown Sugar Confessions. Always stay safe and play safe. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye for now, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of Brown Sugar Confessions on Power 1017. Go to our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram page at Brown Sugar Confessions to like, share, and follow. Stay safe and play safe. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.